Hey, welcome back to the Truth About Nobody podcast and the last episode of season 2 on dating. This episode is a sort of wrap up of what I've experienced and learned over the past year and a half while dating online through various apps. Learned about myself, about the various shades of loneliness and longing, and about the quest in general. The other voice you'll hear is my last guest of the series. She's a 21-year-old, delightfully fearless girl I choose to call Diva, and someone I love as if she were my own, who also asked me to add here that she loves me the same. Hers is the generation on the front lines now, and they must have the last word, of course. Moving on, 2 things happened last week as I turned to close out this season 2. This podcast of mine, My Labor of Love, hit 1,600 plays, and I'm almost up to an audience of 100. 100. Yes, I'm delighted. Modest progress it is, I know, but onward and upward we go. Also, I deleted all but one of my dating apps. As of last week, I'm no longer on any dating app, except one, as I said. I haven't logged out. I haven't gone on snooze mode. I haven't hidden my profile. I'm not even lurking around the corner. They're all gone. Me from them and them from my phone. Except Bumble. I can't help it. I like that damn app too much. That shiny, sunny, melting pot of possibilities that it represents. Besides, after dating online for a year and a half, I'm in for major FOMO. Hence, Bumble's got to stay, at least for a while. This past year or so, I've met and connected with some great guys. It's been fun, no doubt. But the feeling of spot jogging that I'd mentioned in a previous episode just isn't going away as my personal lockdown stretches on. The truth is that I've been confined indoors for the 2nd year in a row. First with GBS and now with this stupid corona. With a brief respite this past winter, one that I enjoyed to the hilt at the time. And even though I've tried my best to stay upbeat in these strange times, it's been a bitter pill to swallow. Quite literally. My patience and good cheer is at an all-time low. So the apps finally had to go for me to move on to other things. I'll continue to experiment here with something new or weird, as well as indulge in some more shameless self-promotion like I've been doing these past few months. Forgive me for that, by the way. Besides, given the endless stream of entertainment I provide whenever we talk now, at least my friends no longer go, ew, when they hear about me and my dating apps. Bottom line, the lockdown and these wonderful apps allowed me to connect with a lot of people and their stories. Stories of love, of heartbreak, eternal quests, breathless hookups, patient romances, short confessions, and long conversations. And I've been soaking it all up. The year-long swipe fest has also left me with some fab ideas from countless chats over the phone, and before that in person over cups of coffee or vodka tonics. Some stories I can tell, others I plan to save for another day. And a few will safely stay only with me. Discretion is, after all, the obvious choice sometimes. Yet this lockdown has not been my friend when it comes to dating itself. I connected deeply with a couple of wonderful people, in fact, and not being able to meet them as they left and went back home to different countries will perhaps stay in my memory as the biggest casualty of this confinement. There's only so much you can text or talk or flirt on the phone, after all, before it all starts losing steam. So some I said goodbye to, others just walked away. And that's another thing you learn. Not every lost connection will provide you with what we love to call closure. Sometimes you barely have time to catch your breath and poof, they're gone. All par for the course, I know, since I'm guilty of doing that as well, myself sometimes. I must confess though, in the beginning, it was tough. This climb down from the high of an initial encounter or conversation where everything seems fresh, possible, polite even. Disappointments are quick to follow. Hide and seek, the usual games that people play. Oh, and lots and lots of ghosting. Oh, ghosting, which leaves you staring unhappily at a phone that would neither buzz nor ring. Damn it. Yeah, baby, dating in your 40s is neither for the weak hearted nor the weak kneed. Well, neither is dating at any other age, I hear. Still fun, nonetheless. Diva, time to hear from you, my love. You had some interesting thoughts on closure and ghosting, right? Let's hear them now.
My opinion of online dating as a person of color in a white country is that online dating is actually perfect for our generation. Another thing that a friend told me when I first downloaded Tinder when I was in first day of university was, you don't owe them anything, which was kind of like a statement to say that no matter what you do with this person who you met on Tinder, like if you go on a date with them, if you sleep with them, whatever, you don't owe them an explanation of why you ghosted them or why you're not in their lives anymore or why you iced them out, which I feel is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a two-way street, because you can either see where it goes or you can just randomly ghost someone and not owe them an explanation, which usually goes for women because we always want an explanation, we always want closure. But men are usually okay with icing them out after sleeping with them, which I think works more in favor of the men than of the women, but sometimes for the women as well. But I think that's one of the major quotation marks perks of online dating. And yeah, okay.
Oh, now you're making me regret my terribly uneventful 20s, woman. I was and still am a nerd. A happy, mostly at peace with my world nerd, but a nerd nonetheless. And I must confess that I'm finally living up my 20s in my 40s. It's like a second coming of age, with the hard-won freedom to say yes or no with aplomb, the take me as I am or leave me the heck alone pluck, and the surprising lack of that crippling fear of rejection. I think the 40s have been amazingly liberating for me. Honestly, I was almost socially paralyzed for a while after my marriage ended, and had always been generally shy when it came to my personal life. Also afraid of getting my heart broken, of that rejection, above all, of having to pretend to be someone that I'm not, and of not being true to myself, a self that is a bit sensitive, a lot crazy, and always irreverent. Not everyone can take that combination, you see. And all this dating business has also made me appreciate that realistically, you'll never get a perfect combination of qualities in one person, unless you're bloody lucky, of course. But that also doesn't mean you give up on those delightful pieces you find in different people. Hold on to those, and don't be afraid to venture out of your shell. This is what I've learned, especially from dating younger, good-looking, confident men who are on a similar quest. It's within their search that I've also found some of what I want for myself, something I've wanted for a while now, which is everything. Some soul-rocking romance, some knock your socks off chemistry, serendipitous second chances, and perhaps eventual exclusivity. Yeah, well, sometimes you do connect over a similar longing with someone else, sometimes over a shared experience, and often because something, somewhere, in someone, somewhat speaks to your soul. But yeah, it's not denying that it hasn't been brutal. Friends often ask me why I continue to put myself out there, despite the constant disappointments and sometimes heartbreak. No risk, no reward, I tell them. Seek and you shall find. And for that, I've had to step out of my comfort zone and take chances, to reinvent, and to open up just a little bit to complete strangers. I've also familiarized myself with this new normal and brushed up on the old chessboard moves, often to make the first move, to ask for a phone number, to set up a date, to handle the uncertainty and disenchantment, to stop worrying about my aging and later disease weakened body compared to the vitality of super fit 30 somethings. Most importantly, I've also learned to let go of a good thing once it has run its course, to move on, to quietly pick up the pieces of my heart and put them back together for the next round, to let go of stupid expectations and sometimes my own snobbery, all the time fearing that abominable question, so what are you looking for? In fact, I even came up with a respectable enough answer once, saying that I'll recognize it when I find it. The problem was that different encounters made me want different things. And then there was always the strange pull of what loomed on the horizon, ships passing in the night and all that. It was also a little like being hooked onto gambling. The next roll of the dice, the next swipe, the next like, the next match. Could this be it? Well, enough now. Sadiva, tell me about some of this, the snobbery we are sometimes accused of, the choices available to us, and the strange questions you might have had to field or fend off sometimes. Take it away, girl.
It's been hard for me because as a person whose mother did her honors in English and growing up with Shakespeare's "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day," it's really hard to reply to "Are you only down for hookups?" ? Because everybody is just looking for the next best thing. Like, they don't really care about what's in front of them or who they're with. They're always like, who's better looking or who would be better in bed. An example that I'm gonna give verbatim was this one man who messaged me on Tinder and was like, are you more into hookups or are you more into flirting? Which is, I don't know, it's a really weird question to start with, but I guess, if it works for him, it works for him.
Before we continue, a quick word for the app that's made it possible for me to rack up over 1,600 plays of this humble and home-produced podcast. A lot of people ask me how I got started on my podcasts, and I tell them that it was all thanks to Anchor. Because as soon as I discovered the app, I realized there was a different way to tell stories, and it is an idiot-proof way of making podcasts, and I would recommend it to everyone. It's free. You can choose your own music, and it's very easy to edit your podcasts on Anchor. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started right away. Oh yeah, I agree. To each their own. These apps are, after all, different things to different people. For some, they've replaced the awkwardness or shyness with the boldness that comes out of being behind a screen or by boldly becoming anything that they want to make that first move. Because what struck me the most, in fact, were the different shades of loneliness that I discovered, even in brief exchanges with the married or the supposedly committed, single ones as well. I guess at the end of the day, when people say they're looking for something casual, it's not casual at all sometimes, but a very pointed need, fleeting but intense, something to take the edge off, to banish the loneliness, even if for a few hours, a day, or a week. For others, these hopeful little icons on the phone are like the promised land. They're portals that are easily accessible, that can also be hidden in plain sight. Apps like Viber and Telegram even allow you to double lock up chats you don't want anyone peeking into, to raise and delete, to hide and divert. Dating apps also allow many people to play out the fantasies and indulge in some of the fetishes, from mild preferences to some really weird stuff. But one of these fairly common and normal fetishes that I've come across is the one that a lot of men in their 20s and early 30s have for older women. It's amazingly common and a serious preference for many of the men I've met who say that they would rather date older, and I correct them when they say elder, older women than women their own age. So tell me, Diva, I know that you have come across a weird fetish of your own, living as you are in another country. I'd love to hear about that.
Another thing that I noticed as the person of color on online dating is that sometimes they end up fetishizing your skin color, which I do not think is okay. And something that has happened to me actually. So back in first year, in the second semester, I had just come back from home and I was still on Tinder, and I still wanted a white man after living in a country of brown men. The white boy that I was with, I want to say, but not exactly. The next time he texted me was like a month later, and he was like, oh, I've been seeing this brown girl. He started only going out with brown women and only started hooking up with brown women. But every time he would hook up with a brown girl, he would always text me after that. So I was like, are you fetishizing the brown skin? And do you want me to take, I don't know, like the blame for it? Which is really weird. But anyway, for the next 3 years, he still texted me after he hooked up with a brown girl. But yeah, I think that was really weird because he started fetishizing the brown skin because I was the first brown person he ever kissed.
Well, folks, that's just the thing I've talked about in earlier episodes. It's a brave new world with its own possibilities, preferences, permutations, and combinations, hard pressed as many of us might be to understand any of it. But dating on its own is special. Well, you might not fall in love. No, you may not even find the one with whom you can banter long into the night, who is also wicked in bed. You may have that near perfect first date that almost turns into something more, or not quite. You might wrangle a wonderful or warm night or two every once in a while. But you'll also have cold days when you'll find it difficult to find any merit at all in your checkered dating life. If you're lucky, you might get to see the northern lights every once in a while. Mostly it's like all you're doing is looking for a falling star to wish on, hoping against all hell that it doesn't crash and burn at your feet. It's not always romantic. It's never really ideal. But playing the field and the balancing act it requires has a special place in the pantheon of experiences. And I'm lucky to have found it when I did. In the end, I wish you all the best. All of you fellow travelers out there. I also wish you love. And I wish you get to love and have that love returned at least once in your lifetime, no matter how briefly. Go gently into that wide blue yonder, my friends, and don't forget to be kind or to lose yourself every once in a while. Someone recently asked me what I would do if I found a keeper. Marriage again? A relationship? Live in? I told him I would go crazy again. Feel free. Let him be free. Laugh. Travel with him. Have fun. And drink late. Wake up early and sleep in. Be silly. And continue to hold my own end of the world up. That's it from me, folks, for season 2. It's a wrap. Don't forget to tune in next weekend as I start a brand new season 3 on Growing Up Punjabi. Well, most of it is going to be in English. थोड़ा सा हिंदी में होगा and थोड़ा जिहा पंजाबी ਵਿੱਚ जो ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੰਨੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ but I'm going to give it all a shot. So don't forget to tune in to the Truth About Nobody podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and various other listening apps next weekend for a fresh season on Growing Up Punjabi.